All right, what is up, Anime GOATcast YouTube? This is the Anime GOATcast. I am CW, joined by two of my esteemed colleagues that's going to help us review this Demon Slayer movie. We got my man Big Nige, also from the GOATcast podcast. What's up, Big Nige?
What's up? Happy to be here. Just watched that movie, so ready to get into it.
It's fresh in the mind. And we also have Katie Cade. You know her. She's been on the channel for a while. What's going on, Katie Cade?
Hello, hello.
Missing his Jeds, but he's not gonna make it tonight. Um, so we'll see him at a later date. But anyway, we're here to talk about Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, the motion picture by Ufotable. Well, that's the animation company, ain't it? Ufotable, but
Yeah.
Aniplex and Shueisha. Demon Slayer, you all know Demon Slayer. So this is their 2025 movie where they're slowly getting towards the end of their story. And Infinity Castle begins the trilogy that will end Tanjiro and Friends' story. So we're going to go through a non-spoiler review, and then we're going to get into spoilers a little later. We will warn you before we go into spoilers, so you know if you haven't seen it, it just came out last night, and we're going to talk about it because I'm sure we all have something to say. So firstly, I'm gonna let you guys tell the viewers how you felt about Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part One. Katie Cade, how'd you feel about this movie? With no spoilers, of course.
No spoilers. I thought it was really, really good. There was a lot of good action, good fights, good story, and definitely good visuals. Um, I would even say that it's better than Mugen Train.
Okay. Mugen Train being one of actually their first movie
hmm
uh, early in the storyline. Big Nine, how'd you like Demon Slayer Infinity Castle?
So yeah, I just got done watching it not too long ago, a couple hours ago. Um, Definitely a lengthy movie. Long. I think this one was
Yeah,
longer than Mugen Train too. So yeah,
it
that
was.
one was like I think it was like 2.5 hours, like
Yep.
Infinity Art or Infinity Castle Part One. So
Hmm.
that was a bit of a shocker. But I think it was good. I think the pacing was a little here and there. I kind of like the
Hmm.
pacing of Mugen Train a little bit better, just because of they had a lot of good fights, like Katie Cade said. Um, but the backstory part for the movies, I thought they were going to focus more on the fights and less on the backstory, and kind of flesh that out in the anime. Um, but overall, I still think they hit their mark and they did really well with this movie, character development wise, showcasing like um like Tanjiro, Zenitsu, all of them doing what they did in that movie, and also highlighting the Hashiras and as well as the Upper Moon. So yeah, overall, I think it was a really good movie,
Hmm.
but I just think it was a little longer than I anticipated.
Okay. Well, I think we'll get into that more spoiler time. But a few questions for you guys. Do you feel like if you just let me know if you guys didn't haven't watched Demon Slayer before, do you think you can jump into this movie and enjoy it and kind of understand it? I'll start with KDK. Do you think it's it's only do you think it's only for Demon Slayer fans or anyone can pick this up and then enjoy it and it makes sense and you're able to, you can go back and watch the everything beforehand, but you can actually get what you need to get out of this movie.
No, I feel like the movie does a pretty good job of giving you context enough that you can follow the movie. Like obviously you're not gonna appreciate it as much as if you've been following since episode 1, but even me, haven't watched like Demon Slayer the episode since like Red Light District or Entertainment District, since like the first episode of that. So I'm kind of missing some parts, but I still really liked it. I read a lot of the manga, so yeah, I really
Mhm.
liked it.
So just for those that may not have seen of read the manga is over. So this is stuff, what's happening now. There is a source material that's already finished. So if you want to be spoiled, you can go and read the manga. But if not, you can watch the anime. But I'm gonna ask the same question to Big Nine. Do you think if you go into this movie and you've never watched Demon Slayer, you can understand what's going on and it still be entertaining?
Yeah, like Katie Kate said, you definitely can get a gist of what's going on. I mean, you got the big bad villains and you got the heroes. So it's not too hard to follow. Obviously, the weight of some interactions in this movie, you won't feel that if you're not as invested in each of the characters, knowing their backstories and knowing the build up leading to this moment. But yeah, you can still follow this movie. It just won't hit the same.
Okay. And I asked that because you did question the pacing, and I kind of looked at it from a perspective that you want to sell tickets. You want to. This is a movie. This is a motion picture, so they're probably not going to have any anime season devoted to this. So this is going to be the only material you get animated for this. So I'm sure there's a lot of Demon Slayer fans out there, but there's more movie fans and more fans of action stuff and great animated movies. So they probably had to, I think they had to put some of that extra backstory or longer backstory in for that so that people can understand. Because if you haven't seen this, because I believe it's five seasons, I think, or four. I don't know if Mugen Train is considered a season, but I think total there's five seasons, and I was
Seven.
seven seasons.
Yeah, there will be 7 seasons when it's all said and done.
Okay. Um. So what's the Hashira training is what the
I think that
fifth,
one was
sixth.
season 4.
So they did break up. So Mugen Train is a season
Yeah.
technically. Okay. 'Cause I guess I'm missing one because there's the beginning. There's Mugen Train, then Entertainment
Entertainment.
District,
Hmm.
then Swordsmith, then Hashira Training, and then
Correct.
there's Infinity Castle. So that's what, seven. Because I know, okay, the last movie it's a different arc, I guess. For
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
like
okay.
so basically how they're breaking it down is like everything that you just said. You have the Infinity Castle Part 1, which is this year.
Hmm.
Season 5 is going to release next year, and obviously that's going to probably mesh between the Hashira training arc and the Infinity Castle. Probably some more backstory stuff that they're going to flesh into,
Oh,
and
so
some
they're
precursors into the Part 2, which is 2027. Then Season 6 of Demon Slayer in 2028. 2029 is the Infinity
oh,
Castle
so they're gonna
finale,
do
and then
okay.
2030 is Season 7, where they finish it up. Probably do like the prologue and everything like that.
Okay, so they're gonna do a season next in 2026 that's kind of in between the events of or after the events of this movie and in
Hmm.
between the events of Infinity Castle 2.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. I thought these just three movies were just going to be the last of the arcs, but
Yeah, I thought so too.
okay,
until,
that's cool
until it
though.
starts to
Yeah, so
Okay.
did I.
articulate.
Okay, I'm glad because I was thinking I'd have to wait till 2027 to get any more of the story. So that's good that they're going to split it up like that and still give you some substance between that. So with that said, we'll go into some of our non-spoiler talk, but kind of overview the movie. The beginning, they do show you everybody coming into the Infinity Castle. Thought that was cool. That was a good way, a good intro. And then the events start to me, it would move fast, especially early, but it did kind of slow down, midway, probably after the Zenitsu fight. Then it kind of slowed down a little bit. But all in all, I think it did what it set out to do. You get to see how cool the Infinity Castle is. You got a little bit of that at the end of the Hashira training arc. The episode right before this happens, and then you get all the cool designs. You get to see them just falling into this, world that's ever changing. They actually do give you something with all the Hashira. Um, so you get to see all these characters, and then of course it moves into the story, the fights, and everything else. Does that kind of explain the movie in a nutshell? Not without going into specifics. Does that kind of explain the movie? Is you get to see the Hashira, who are the main demon slayer, the rank that's capable of stopping the demons, and then you get the others that are tossed in. And a quick question: do you feel like this movie did an okay job of introducing characters, even though they may not have had much as far as in the plot for this movie? Do you think they did well enough to, I guess, give you something from each character? And anybody can chime in.
Um, yeah, I think that they did a pretty good job. Like we've already established, this movie's gonna be or is split into, or this arc sort of is split into multiple seasons and 3 movies. So I feel like some of the characters we just kind of saw like a glimpse of them,
Mhm.
and we'll probably get to see more of like what they're gonna do later on. But I feel like the story did a good job of introducing the characters that they focused on.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. Mind you, again, it is a three-parter. Plus, you got
Mhm.
anime seasons in between. Um, so yeah, overall, I'd say they did a good job. But like, my big thing is if you're going to introduce somebody, give them a little bit more screen time, flesh them out
Mm.
just a little,
Okay.
like a wee bit more. Now, this is coming also from just movie only watchers. Because if you
Mhm.
watch, if you kept up with the anime, then you know all these characters, their backstories, and what motivates them to be where they are in this movie. So, for the people that haven't got that much screen time, that's where my focus is, without like spoiling anything. But yeah, overall, I think they did a good job.
Okay. Yeah, that's my question. I think they did a pretty good job. You get to at least see most of the characters, even if you don't really get to understand them. You don't really get their personalities, I would say. And I think, but we'll get into that when we go to spoilers. But I think they did a good enough job to where you understood who was important, especially in this one. But if I was telling someone who's going into this movie, I would say you don't have to watch the entirety of the Demon Slayer leading up to this, but just watch the last episode of the Hashira training. I think that was a good enough setup for them to be able to really understand what's going on. Um, and they get a lot of character, actual dialogue, and get to see some of the personalities in that episode. So I think that is a good lead into this. So I would say watch that and then watch this, and it's just one episode. I'm not sure if either one of you are caught up with the anime, but I just think that would be a good precursor to kind of really get into what's going on in the movie. And I think certain characters weren't in it that or were in it, but were just glossed over that probably should have been in it a little bit more, because that's going to probably weigh in better once it continues. But since Big Nine said they're going to do actual another season, I think they'll be able to do that with that. So I think we need to go ahead and move into spoilers, because it's hard to talk about this without giving a whole lot of context. So let's get everybody's final scores, and then we'll jump into the spoiler section. So KDK, out of 10, what would you give Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1?
I would say a solid 9.
Okay. All right. Big Nine, what you give Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Part 1?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Okay, a little more not as lenient as Katie Kane. Now for me, I'm gonna say this, and I'll probably y'all all disagree with me, but I gave it a 9.5. I think it was close to perfect, but I guess we'll talk about it in the spoilers. How just some of my critique on it, but I thought it was 9.5. It was near perfect to me, but that's just me. So with that said, 15 minutes for the non-spoiler review. I think that's pretty good because it's hard to talk about stuff when stuff you can say will actually spoil it. So if you haven't seen the movie, please cut it off right now. If you actually want to see it, if you don't care, you can keep listening. But we're going to give you 5 seconds, and then we're going to get into spoilers. All right, so we're getting into spoilers. Okay, this we can have a little kind of free conversation on this. So yeah, for let's start with the pacing because that's was Big Nigel's problem with it. What part of the pacing did you not like?
So for me, excuse me, I think they focus too much. They put too much time on the backstory, like specifically because they always do the things in Demon Slayer fights. Is when the demon's about to get defeated, you have to see their backstory. You have to feel sorry for them. As me and you had talked about this offline a few times. You're like, dang, I just watched this movie and I feel bad.
Hmm.
Specifically, since we're in the spoiler part about Akaza and his backstory, because his backstory was pretty tragic. Um, and he started out as a not so bad guy. I mean, he was a little rough around the edges, of course, but
Hmm.
we spent a lot of time with Akaza, which they could. I feel like personally, they could have put that in the anime and just kind of give us enough, but we don't need the entirety of that. Like that could have been anime only, and we could have kept this thing moving. Heck, we could have even got to another fight, without
Hmm.
going too far ahead, but we didn't get there. So I think yeah, for me, it's mainly just the Akaza backstory because that was emotional, but it was a little lengthy
Hmm.
while kind of glossing over like Kaigaku, who fought Zenitsu.
I'm
He didn't
glad you
have
know
a
his
very
name. Yeah,
um
because they glossed over him a little bit.
a lot, right? And even though
Yeah.
he's not like a important character compared to Akaza, of course, but you would have liked to see a little bit more. Like, how did he, after he drank the demon blood from Upper Moon One, what was that process like? A little bit because we got to
Hmm.
see Akaza's process of like once he became a demon, he just started tearing people up. He just instant crash out, and he had a purpose. We didn't really have a full purpose for Kaigaku aside him being a prick.
Yeah.
So that's just me. That's one of my things was just the pacing and like not fleshing out certain characters, not making fights as lopsided. Like the Zenitsu Kaigaku. I mean, like, yeah, Kaigaku was kind of dominating, but like if all it took was Zenitsu to whip out one move and just take him out, it's like, eh, you probably could
And
have threw that in the anime too, because it was visually pleasing, but the fight really didn't last that long. There wasn't that much investment between the two characters.
yeah. So you read the manga, don't you?
Most of it.
Okay.
Some parts I maybe a little foggy on at this point because it's been
Okay.
a minute since the manga finished. But
Okay.
yeah,
So
I'm
so
not
you
gonna
feel
get
like
too much more
yeah.
into it. But yeah, just
Okay. So
those
that
things
fight
specifically.
you feel like they could have so you feel like they could have shortened Akaza's backstory and kind of put a little bit more into I don't know his name.
Kaigaku.
Zenetsu's yeah, that guy. And you felt like that would have helped it a little bit.
Like the big thing is like the big thing that drew me to Demon Slayer is like the strategy. Like more specifically, when Tanjiro fights, he's thinking in real time. Like, oh, I can't do this. He's gonna if I don't dodge this correctly, he's going to like decapitate me. Like
Hmm.
those kinds of like little things of like, okay, if I attack his legs, I might can open up a window for me to slash his neck. Things like that they're saying in real time to kind of help the reader or help the watcher understand what's going on, aside
Hmm.
from just needlessly slashing away at each other with no real strategy.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's for me. When you have the other characters like the Zenitsu, like the Shinobu, um, like those characters when they're fighting, you're not seeing a whole lot of strategy. You're just seeing like, okay, I feel bad for this person, or I have revenge and an animosity for this person, but I'm not really thinking of how I
Okay.
can actually overcome this wall, which are these upper moons, which are the creme de la creme,
Mhm.
of Demon Slayer demons. So
And staying
Um,
on that, I'm gonna ask KDK the same in a few. Did you think Shinobu's backstory was well done?
Wait, I just want to say something
Go ahead.
about
Go
the
ahead.
first question that you asked.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask
Um,
you that too.
about the pacing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just gonna ask Big Notch what he thought about Shinobu's. Did you think hers was well done?
I mean, her motivation was because upper rank two or Doma, dropped off her big sister. So I mean, obviously, any little sister who picks up a sword, they want to get their get back. So
Mhm.
I mean, there's not so much you could put into it. Maybe you could have seen maybe a little bit more of the sisters, growing up together, training together, putting a little bit more of that emotional investment between the two.
Mhm.
And then, like, can we actually see the sister get dropped off? Can we see them actually fight? Because he just told her, like, you lasted longer than your big sister, and that's what he congratulated for. And then he drops her off. So
Yeah.
again, we talk about pacing and putting more emphasis on other things. I would have liked to seen the older sister fight him, see what her strategy was, what her shortcomings were, and then you get into Shinobu's fight a little bit. It just ended so quickly that I'm like, man, what happened? Just see her,
Yeah.
just a corpse, nothing else.
That's true. So, Katie Kate, I'm gonna ask you the same thing, and I'm gonna kind of delve on some of the stuff Big Nice said after that. But what do you think about the paces? Do you think it was they lingered on certain things a little too long?
Well, I definitely agree with Big Notch that Shinobu and Kaigaku's their backstories were kind of, or like the time spent on them was sort of too short. But I do think that Akaza's was kind of necessary. But I think that it was a direct sort of response to Mugen Train.
Hmm.
Um, in the sense that, are we allowed to talk about spoilers for Mugen Train? Can we?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I
If they
mean,
haven't
Okay.
seen Mugen
if they
Train
haven't
and they
seen that
click
by
on this
now, then
video, then they just
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
go ahead and
Okay.
go on somewhere.
But I think that the reason that they spent so much time with Akaza is because you know, he's responsible for the death of Rengoku, who is beloved by in the actual series and just in general by the fans. So I think to kill Akaza off and to show his backstory, they kind of had to spend extra time humanizing him because he committed like pretty much the ultimate sin. Like all of the other Hashiras, like we don't really see them have as much of a deep relationship, I think, with Tanjiro as we did with Rengoku. So I feel like it was important for them to do as much as possible to get people to see him as a human, even though he died as a demon, to see the before and why we should sympathize with this character like Tandra is able to do with all the demons.
okay. And other than that, do you think the pacing was how you? Well, you kind of answered it, but were you okay with the pacing, or did that kind of hurt anything for you?
I don't think it ruined anything. I definitely think that Shinobu, like, that was just, it was kind of like a smack in the face. Like, it was like, "Oh, we see her going in here, like, oh, what'll happen?" And then she just gets absorbed. Like, I don't know. And then the Kaigaku thing was cool, but I sort of wish we could have spent more time, like, kind of caring about
Yeah.
that whole thing. I feel like it would have been better for Zenitsu too if we had seen a bit more of him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think I think that Shinobu, hold on one second. I think that with Shinobu, it happened so quick. Like I thought it was a cool setup. I thought the intro into the movie and the setup into her actually being the first one to find an upper moon. I thought it was cool. but like everyone said, she got beat so quickly. Like it wasn't there wasn't a struggle. Like it felt like it was she was a non-factor. And then when they announced her dying, it just seemed like people were like, oh man, and then kept moving. Like everybody cheered when it was the little crows and everything announced that Akaza had been defeated, and I guess that's what they're there for. They're to kill the demons, but one of their somebody in their ranks and somebody that they're supposedly close to gets killed, and they're like, oh well, and they kept going. So I thought that was kind of weird. And yeah, with what's his name, Kagu, how y'all pronounce it,
Kaigaku.
Kaigaku. Yeah, that was kind of weird because I didn't realize they had any more. I thought the upper three were the only ones left, and the guitar girl. I thought they were the only ones left. I didn't even realize he was still there. So, like Katie K said, like both of you guys said, I think they should have done a little bit more with his backstory to kind of make it feel like it was important, because that was the one part I just felt didn't seem like it had any importance in the. I thought it was just a cool way to get Zenitsu, show his character development, and show that he's no longer the one that's scared and has to fall asleep to actually do something. Uh, I just thought that they should have given him the demon, Upper Moon 6, a little bit more to so we kind of understood the danger that Zenitsu was in. But I don't think they did that, and it just didn't seem like he was in much danger because we saw the transition to him being serious. So I guess most people probably knew, if you're up to date, that he was going to probably obliterate this guy because we've never seen serious and confident Zenitsu. So I thought they did a poor job. That's the one part I thought they did poorly, was that confrontation.
The buildup was crazy though, especially in the trailer. Like everybody got chills from seeing him, like essentially bloodthirsty. And yeah,
Zenitsu.
yeah, Zenitsu. Like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
that's
and
what
they
drew
showed that.
me.
Yeah, they showed that in the last episode of the Hashira training. So that's what got me hyped, because usually he's scared, but seeing him falling down and he just had a blanket look on his face, so he looked like he was ready to do something. So I think that was the hype. But do you think the payoff was worth it?
I mean, the move that he did to finish the fight was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to see, because he was honestly battling his like inner turmoil about his Gramps more than Kaigaku, if I'm being honest. There wasn't that much of a struggle. Yeah, Kaigaku got a couple thunder breathing moves off on him, but it just didn't seem like he was in real mortal danger, like the weight of some of these other, you know, um upper moon fights. Like there was like maybe there was some instance maybe where he could have got been had, but at the same time, it was just more like he's wallowing in despair because of his Gramps, and obviously he's ticked off that Kaigaku is saying all these things, but it's really like Kaigaku didn't really he's not the one that actually took his Gramps' life. Like the Gramps
Yeah.
committed seppuku
Yeah.
because of what Kaigaku was doing, and basically shamed, what his teachings were. But again, Kaigaku didn't actually, he wasn't the one that cut him down like in front of Zenitsu. Like we saw Akaza do to Rengoku during the Mugen Train arc. So that's why there's no like emotional like
Yeah.
send off or whatever for that character,
Yeah.
because we just don't know.
Yeah. And what you said earlier makes sense to me more now. Yeah, they probably should have spent more time. Like they could have probably cut some of Akaza's backstory, maybe about 10 minutes, and added a few of those minutes to his story, just to make the impact of what Zenitsu was doing a little more impactful. Because I feel like they make such a big deal of Akaza, and of course, why? Because he was upper three. He was one of the strongest ones. But it was like when Zenitsu did what he did, it was just like, okay, he beat one of the weaker ones, and we're just moving on. So yeah, I just think they could have made a little more impact out of that fight and out of that confrontation to make it. It just seemed. I'm not gonna say it seemed filler, but it just seemed like a way to get two characters on screen, one that everybody knows. And correct me up. I mean, y'all can chime in and say if you think I'm wrong, but I just felt like that fight was good, but it just didn't have the impact, even of Shinobu. Even though hers, I think, wasn't the greatest, but I feel like it had more impact than that fight.
I don't know. I don't know if I would agree that it would have more impact because I still think Zenitsu, his build up and his motivation. Obviously, both of them lost someone precious to them, and they're looking the person who they feel is responsible, whether indirectly or directly responsible. I still think the Zenitsu fight was still more impactful to the story and to the movie.
Okay.
But like the Shinobu fight again, it just feels it's rushed and it just didn't feel like she put any strategy into her fights. Like all she was doing was just trying to poison dude, and he just kept adapting to it like in real time. And it's like you got to come if you have this long to prepare for your sister's killer. Where's the methodical, where's the game plan? Like it's not like you're fighting a lower demon, like you're fighting an upper rank number 2, not 3, not 4, number 2. So
Mhm.
like if anything, I'm coming with an army. I ain't pulling up solo dolo unless I'm 110% confident. She pulled up on some revenge stuff, and she got packed up just because
She got packed up pretty
she
quickly too.
and then it just it's unfortunate because like I would have loved to see her like at least make him sweat, make him, let's see the full capabilities of his blood demon art. We didn't really get to see. We got glimpses of it, but upper rank 2 was, or Doma, he was just like, keep trying. Oh, you almost got me. Try again. And encouraging her and like checking if she
Yeah.
is okay. Like this is the person that's actively trying to kill you, and he's checking on you, being like, "Hey, you good? You need a break? Tag out."
Yeah, my kind of thought when I first saw it was that he would mortally wound her, but I thought somebody would show up and kind of at least not beat him necessarily, but at least chase him off. Um, so I was like, when he beat her, basically destroyed her, and then absorbed her or ate her, whatever that was, it just seemed like, well, that's it. I mean, that's like she didn't even do her, and this might sound bad, but she didn't even do her sister any justice. Like she
Nope.
didn't, like nothing she did her sister. I figured she would do something or something would happen so she could feel like she accomplished something in that fight, but she accomplished nothing essentially.
She lasted
Um,
longer than her sister, so I guess that's
Yeah, I
something.
guess
But
that's a moral
yeah.
victory. But
eh,
I
eh.
think that from what I remembered in the manga though, like without spoiling, I think that there's stuff that they haven't fully like mentioned about the fight. Like I definitely think that there's sort of a part 2. Obviously Shinobu is gone, but I think that some of her, not all of her impacts have been fully like revealed from what I remember. And I think that's because all the other fights, like we got a conclusion. With this one, we really didn't. Like Doma's still perfectly fine, but Canal, I think that's how you say her name,
mhm,
the quote unquote like the younger sister, sort of that they kind of adopted into the family. This is also sort of her big moment of the manga. So I think maybe they wanted to give her the spotlight in a different movie instead of taking that from Shinobu, and so it sort of was like a two-part fight, but it's a movie, so you're kind of
mhm.
thinking like
Okay,
it
so
doesn't feel complete.
it'll have some sort of continuation to it. Like that's not
Yeah, from what
the
I
Yeah,
remember from the
fight.
manga, it's definitely not Doma's not just this is not the end. Like that's
So
why they showed her kind of out of breath. Like this fight is not over.
okay, so I mean that will make. I'm sure that once we get the complete trilogy, it'll make that'll make some of these parts that to us may not seem as impactful more impactful when we see
Yeah.
everything together. Um, so another thing I want to ask you guys: the fights. And I gotta uh go somewhere real quick, but how did you like the fights? Were the fights, from a visual um point, were they great? Did you feel like they meant something? Do you feel like the choreography, everything kind of worked well with basically the that character, their personality, everything, their fighting style, all that stuff? Since we all pretty much seen or read Demon Slayer, do you think, because really there's three real fights, how do you think they panned out?
um, so out of the three fights, how they pan out? I mean, so starting with Zenitsu and Kaigaku, probably the most hype fight aside from the Akaza, Tanjiro, and Gyu fight. Um, like I said, that one just didn't seem like Zenitsu was any mortal danger. Visually, though, it was a very visually nice fight. You got to showcase two thunder breathing users, so that was obviously good to see. But if you just got one move that you could just win the fight in, chances are, if he took the fight from serious from the jump and wasn't trying to reason with him to honor his master, the fight probably could have ended a lot sooner. But on the other side, on Kaigaku's side, I forgot the little demon boy. I forgot his name. But he was basically saying if the Kaigaku had another year with his blood demon art, he could have taken out Zenitsu a lot sooner as well. So it's one of those things that like one side, if with more prep time or being more serious, could have taken the other out. So that's kind of a wash in my opinion. But animation wise, it looked great. Um, the Shinobu Doma fight to me felt like it lasted all of like 25 seconds. Um, and that's unfortunate because I think they could have definitely draw that fight out a little bit more or added some filler people to kind of, get packed up with her. So it felt like, it's not like just one on one because we kind of knew the conclusion based off of you got an upper rank two and then a kind of a smaller tier Hashira. But visually, that one was cool. I like the poison that she tried to use against him. I kind of wish she changed tactics after she saw that the poison wasn't working. But she is the insect Hashira, so I mean, I guess poison's kind of the only thing she could do. I guess. I mean, and then of course, finally we got Gyu and Tanjiro versus Akaza. That's definitely my favorite fight. Seeing like that was the first, that was the one that really felt like they had to, you know, climb over the proverbial wall, which was Akaza. Like that one felt you felt the weight of like both of these guys could die at any point in this fight if they make one mistake. That's what it felt like, when they fought in the entertainment district when Tanjiro and Tenzin fought. I forgot which moon was it with the brother and sister. Was that like
Gyutaro and Daki.
yeah? When they fought those two, there was like a huge stipulation that caused them to win that fight. Like it wasn't
Hmm.
like walk in the park. You had to take them out both at the same time, or they
Hmm.
just keep respawning. Right? With Akaza, he was just such a tank that it didn't matter. He's got all this like impenetrable defense. He's basically using his hands, they're using their swords, and it was like this contrast of styles. In the visual art was just superb. The entire fight through. Um, and that to me was like the best part of this entire movie was that fight because they spent so much time trying to figure each other out, sizing each other up. You have the emotional side of things with Tanjiro trying to avenge Rengoku's death. Akaza is making light of that death, even though in his opinion he's giving Rengoku the ultimate compliment, saying he vanquished him. Um, but yes, all three of those fights had their special places in this movie, but definitely the Akaza fight was number one for all the reasons I just went through.
Okay. And Katie Cade, what you think about the fights?
So yeah, I agree. I thought that visually all the fights were very appealing and the Akaza fight was definitely the centerfold, I think, of the entire movie. Um, my only thing is there was a moment where Yushiro was kind of like the green haired demon. He was sort of like he said something along the lines of like if they go that way they're gonna run into him, and I was expecting it to be like a new demon, like maybe Upper Moon 2, Upper Moon 1, one that we haven't seen yet. Hello in the chat.
Hola.
Um but yeah, I kind of wish that the main fight hadn't been with Akaza in, because we've already seen a lot of him in Mugen Train, and we already sort of knew his abilities. And like I said, I feel like this was kind of like a direct response to Mugen Train. Um, I do think the fights were really good. Like the choreography and having to see Tanjiro sort of reflect on his past to figure out how to overcome some of Akaza's strengths. But like I said, I feel like it would have been um I just sort of wish that they would have focused on a different Upper Moon to be the central fight, since this is, Infinity Castle, the stakes are higher, and Akaza was like a familiar face. So that just kind of threw me off.
Okay. I mean, I guess yeah. I was glad that they've got Akasa out the way, but yeah, I kind of feel you that we've seen him before, and we haven't really seen. Uh, I mean, Doma got a little bit of shine, and we still haven't seen Kokoshiba. That's his name.
Yeah.
Um, and if you've watched the anime or read whatever, I mean, they're building that up, so maybe that's going to have a huge payoff. But I've been wanting to see what he can do since day one of, or since we knew about him being an Upper Moon and being Upper Moon one, but we didn't get even a little hint of what he can do, which is I think could have helped a little bit more as we move to the next one. But I was okay with that. But yeah, I like the fights. Two of them felt overmatched. Like Shinobu felt like she was just doing nothing. Like he was just laughing the whole time, which at same time kind of made him more scary because if a Hashira can't even make you flinch a little bit, then one of the other guys. But of course, he's one of the weaker ones, so we can take that for what it's worth. But I just felt like we saw her being overmatched. Zenitsu and the Upper Moon Six, you kind of knew it was going to happen because we saw, like I said, we saw the confident Zenitsu. So they weren't going to make him confident just to go in there and get killed. Um, so that fight kind of already had the outcome pretty much in place. But like we said, Giyu versus Tanjiro, we did have the kind of unknown because we saw Akasa before. He was able to beat Rengoku. Giyu, I was kind of worried for Giyu, especially once Tanjiro kind of got taken out of the duo, the fight. Him on by himself, we already saw what happened with Rengoku by himself. So I thought maybe this was Giyu's time was up. But other than that, the visuals were great. I think the choreography was good. They made, especially the Giyu, Tanjiro and Akaza fight, they made it seem important. They gave it some type of give you some fear in there, and I don't think we had that in the other fights. So I think they all were done well. Um, that's right. Yeah, and let us know how you have you seen the movie yet? Giyu, I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. If you've seen the movie, how'd you like that their fight? Um, so yeah, I think the fight scenes were great. If that's your first time watching Demon Slayer, I'm sure you saw just how almost perfect the animation was and just how stunning everything was. I mean, they couldn't have done much better with it. But so I'm gonna ask you guys, was there anything else was there anything you felt was missing in this movie? And Big Notch, you think there's anything that was missing as far as if they had added just this thing, it would have put it up to a 10 for you?
Um, I just think making the fights, like if they would have made the Zenitsu Kaigaku fight a little bit more even, in terms of just like the back and forth, maybe adding some more, strategies, because the big thing with them was Zenitsu was the only one that could do the first form of thunder breathing, while Kaigaku could do, I think it's like 2 through 6.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like a big, like, you could have seen like a big like clash between, like, okay, how good is first form compared to second through 6? Can we see a counter? Is there a counter from that first form has that usurps 2 through 6? I would have liked to seen that before he whipped out the seventh form and just kind of obliterated him.
Hmm.
Seeing that, more of a balanced fight, more of a back and forth. Heck, even seeing a backstory of seeing them both train. Like, how
Yeah.
did Zenitsu unlock first form? In that little, time span of them training together, did Kaigaku see it? Was he impressed? Did it piss him off more that Zenitsu could do first form but not second through 6? You know, do we see Can we see Zenitsu seeing Kaigaku doing second through 6 thunder breathing forms? Does that inspire him to then go and master first form? Like, those are the little things that could have made this fight a little bit better, because you're seeing the true backstory of two, sibling disciples going at it because of them walking two separate paths. Um, so, and to me, I'm drawing a similarity between, like, Naruto, Naruto Shippuden, where you had Naruto trained by Jiraiya, and then Pain trained by Jiraiya, seeing how their lives are totally different, and they end up clashing, both having two different
Hmm.
ideologies, trained by the same master, duking it out, and they have two different styles to, you know, back up their claims to their fights. But that to me would have made this movie a little bit better. Like I said, taking out some of
Hmm.
that Akazaya, um, some of that backstory, and kind of
Hmm.
adding more to the Zenitsu Kaigaku fight with their backstory to make it that much more, real, that either one of them could come on top and take it out.
Okay. How about you, KDK?
For me, I feel like we should have gotten to see more of the Hashira's reaction to Shinobu's death. I think that maybe the reason they kind of glossed over that was because this is a lot more high stakes than Mugen Train was with Rengoku. Because I remember at the end of Mugen Train, they showed everybody's reactions. Um, and this is higher stakes. Everybody's involved. Everybody's in the Infinity Castle. So maybe they're just trying not to lower the morale and focus on the tasks at hand. But
Hmm.
I think that Tanjiro's strength throughout the series has been his empathy. He really empathizes with not only the demons, but just everybody that he comes across. So we did see him crying for a second, but I feel like the fact that we didn't see any like sort of flashback to how she had an impact on him, and even like the other Hashiras, like I mentioned, like we just got no sort of closure. I guess
Hmm.
it was just kind of like, she's dead. Like, let's just keep going.
Yeah, I agree. It makes you think the Hashira aren't really that close because if Tanjiro's the only one that shed a tear, then that's telling. But as far as missing, and this is because I've watched the anime, I'm gonna say it. I think Inosuke's been missing. He hasn't had a part in the series, anything important since the entertainment district. He wasn't really in the swordsman stuff. He was in the Hashira training a little bit, but not really that much. And now here again in the first Infinity Cast movie, he has there's pretty much no action for him. You get to see him for a split second. And I think he's good comic relief. And I also think he's more of a berserker, so he's kind of a wild card when it comes to fights. And I just thought that maybe he would come in during the Doma fight with Shinobu and do something. You know, maybe I definitely didn't think he would beat Doma, but I thought he would come in and maybe do his berserker thing and kind of get Doma, to leave, and him chasing after him or something like that. But I thought he should have had some type of presence since he's been gone so long in the show from having any kind of presence. So yeah, that's what I thought was missing, but that's just because I've been an avid watcher. So, and like I said, I haven't read the manga, so I don't know what's going to come next. But I just thought they should have had him a little bit in there since Zenetsu got something. Of course, Tanjiro, he's the main character. He's always going to have something, but just thought that he would have a little bit more as far as importance in this. And I was thinking all three of them would have just as much or even a little bit of importance in all three of these. Like I said, the other two haven't come out yet, but I didn't feel like he had any importance in this movie. So I thought, he should have been a part of it. So anything else, anything you guys have that, you really liked, you missed, that uh you felt like could have changed or they could have done better? I think we kind of gone through that, but if there anything else that y'all feel like was moved this movie up a notch or took it down a notch. I thought the music wasn't the greatest, but I think everybody else liked it. How about you guys? What do you think about? Is there anything else that you felt like either hurt it or helped it, and that's why you felt the way you did?
I thought the music was really good.
I'm probably in the middle. I think there's some parts of the music was like great, and then others where it's like, could have
Yeah,
been a little
I thought
better, but
yeah,
eh.
the beginning was what I'm talking about. I didn't like the little rock synth kind of background music they were using because it sounded a little
Mhm.
generic. Kind of sound like old Dragon Ball movies on VHS that would just have rock music playing when they're fighting. And I didn't like. I thought they could have done a little better early, but I think as it progressed, it got better.
Think they could have recapped the events of the last couple episodes of Demon Slayer prior to this a little bit. Like what I mean, more specifically, all the Hashiras kind of like because it starts with like the Stone Hashira and like his like getting the call from the master before he has his confrontation with Muzan, and then the big explosion that leads to them trapping Muzan and then forcing them into the Infinity Castle arc. But it's like I would have liked to like see all their reactions like raw again, like from that moment, and then you expand like kind of how they did in the movie where they kind of started going one by one. Is the master gone? I failed you, master. All this other stuff. But I think if they would just kind of replayed those events and like kind of drove that point home, that could have like put it like, okay, even though we're not going to focus on each Hashira, all of them have motive to take care of business. Whoever they're going to go up against, just know that they all have, that motor that's like driving them to take care of business. And
Mhm.
without that, without kind of re-emphasizing the gravity of losing their master, you know, because you've seen, if you're an anime only watcher, then you would have seen, their backstories, even like what is it, Akito? The is that the one that was with the Stone Hashira. I'm trying to think. That
Oh,
was
Tokido or
Tokido, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if it's Akito, but yeah, him seeing that payoff where you saw their master nursing him back to health. Same thing where you saw him in Tanjiro nursing Tanjiro back, like staying by his bedside while they're you know in mortal danger or whatever. Those kinds of payoffs for each character to me would have gone a long way to explain like why they are so like bloodthirsty to take
Mhm.
Muzan out because of what happened to their master.
Yeah, I
Other than
agree.
that, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So moving on, so we'll kind of wrap it up here. That's a lot of spoilers. Um, what did everybody think about the ending? Were you satisfied with the way it ended, and does it make you want to see Infinity Castle Part Two? We'll start with Katie Kane.
Yeah, I thought the ending was pretty solid. The movie felt really long, so I was wondering like where are we gonna end this off at? I think that they did a good job of kind of finishing some of the or tying up loose ends towards the end. There was a couple things, like I said, like the whole Shinobu thing. It was kind of like that was the only fight that was sort of left. With Doma just sort of there, still fighting Canal. So hopefully they get into that in the next movie. But I think they did a pretty good job of setting up um what's gonna happen in the upcoming either series or movie.
Like
Okay.
for me,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, pretty much the same thing. Just I guess like the setting up. Like I like to see like the Upper Moon one, so, like seeing him flex. I kind of wish he would have cared a little bit more about Akaza's passing. More for a selfish reason of like he said he was going to surpass him because that was Akaza's like big thing, being the Upper Moon number three.
Yeah, I
So
forgot about that. Yeah.
I kind of wish the rivalry in them would have been like, someone was strong enough to take him out and make him kind of fall back on his promise to like surpass me. So I wanted him to kind of be like, okay, now I'm ready to join the battlefield to basically go see, like see what's up. Like I'm trying to catch that fade with whoever smoked my boy, you know what I mean? But they all have their own motivation, so it is what it is. But the setup was good though.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with both y'all. I kind of going back to what Big Nine said. I kind of wish there was some type of setup to part two where not necessarily a cliffhanger, but we get to see. But now that I know they're going to do a anime series, a season between this, it makes more sense that they didn't leave it like that. But I was expecting like Yome or somebody to find Kokoshiba and face off to end it or something like that. But I think it's probably better with the unknown because we don't know who's going to meet up with him. We don't know who's going to, we know Doma and the other insect Hashira or trainer trainer or training fighter. She's there, and they're going to have some type of interaction. We got Tanjiro and Yu pretty much knocked out, so of course I don't know if they're going to be the focus that much in part two. But yeah, it kind of leaves it like, yeah, there's a lot of ways they can go in this one, and you don't know where it's going to go. And I think that's cool because you want to see what's going to happen next because you want to see what's going to happen with Doma and these other guys, and even moves on, who's still there. But I think I've talked about it when we did non spoilers. They didn't really do much with Nezuko, and I think that was because I'm pretty sure she. I don't know what happens in the future, but I'm pretty sure she has a big part in the conclusion of the story. I mean, I could be wrong. Y'all have read it, so maybe she doesn't have that big of a you know, she's not that big a part of the plot going forward. But I thought she would be, so I thought she would be in this a little bit more. But the fact that she wasn't, you know, oh, I get it. But yeah, I'm excited to see part two. I can say that much, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the season. Do you think we're going to get any fights in that season?
I believe we will.
Okay.
I just think it's going to be trying to flesh out some of the fights they maybe glossed over while
Yeah.
kind of fleshing into their backstories. But yeah, I think we'll still get something to engage viewers to watch the next season. But it'll just be enough breadcrumbs to trail them into the next movie.
Okay.
So
So,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think it's
I'm
gonna be
yeah,
Doma centered.
okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask, is it going to be more of a retelling of the Infinity Castle one, where they might go through the fights again and then kind of flesh them out, or is it
Probably
going
like how Mugen Train was with that
to?
season. Because I
yeah,
think they had some anime original stuff, but it was like
Okay.
just primarily like the movie stuff.
correct.
Okay. So it's going to be more like that. It's not going to be just a season with brand new episodes. It's going to have a little bit of
Like
what
half and half.
happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like
I
half
mean,
recap, half new, enough of the new to bring you into catch you up to speed for the next Infinity Arc Castle or Infinity Castle arc.
Okay, I mean, I think that makes it make sense of how the movie went because I think they can definitely flesh out Shinobu and even Senetsu fight in a in a season 24 25 minute episodes. They can do, yeah, so that makes more sense to me now why certain stuff I feel like was left on the cutting room table with some of those guys. So okay, so I believe Big Nige gave it an 8. KDK gave it a 9. I gave it a 9.5. Is anybody, after talking spoilers, has it changed? Has that changed anybody's mind, or they're going to stick with their ratings?
I'm gonna stick with it.
I'm sticking with my 8 because I know it gets better from here. No
Okay.
spoilers, of course.
Okay. Please no, because I've been spoiled. I have one spoiler that I was mad about, but I could take it. But yeah, I'm glad. I don't want any spoilers going further. But yeah, I'm gonna keep my 9.5. Even with the little misses I had, and listen to you guys, I still thought it was near perfect. I didn't mind the pacing. As a matter of fact, I thought it moved very quickly for at least the first half. Um, and I thought the ending was satisfying with Akaza. To me, it felt a little bit like Naruto. It felt like not as equally, but I liked your comparison with Jiraiya Naruto and Jiraiya Nagato Pain with some of that. But I felt like Rengoku Jiraiya, even though he had nothing to do with, and he had something to do with Akaza. They fought, he killed him, and then Tanjiro was able to, for the most part, beat him and avenge Rengoku. So I thought that had a little bit of tie-in. Um, so that's just my 2 cents. So with that said, we appreciate you guys that stopped by and watched this. I see a couple of you out there. Um, GSL, we appreciate you chiming in the chat. But with that said, we're going to finish off tonight, and hopefully we'll start doing some more of this. I know I read Boruto. Well, I haven't read it in a while, but I know my man Big Nige, he reads Boruto. So maybe we'll start doing some manga reviews. Katie Kate, I know, and I believe Big Nige watches Dan to Dan, Don to Don, whatever it's called.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
so we may be doing some reviews on that. I think it's the season's almost over, ain't it?
And one more episode, yeah.
Yeah, one more.
Okay, so we might review the season. I've seen probably half of it. Uh,
It's a
I've
good
seen half
season.
of it. Yeah, I mean it was pretty good. My man Gigi was getting beat up, but uh, so yeah, so we'll get into some more anime stuff. We did a Superman review, and we'll probably do some more movie reviews and stuff like that, comics stuff. So yeah, we're gonna try to get more active on this channel and actually drop content. Hopefully, Big Nige and KDK will continue to join us so that we can help this grow. So, with that said, any parting words from any of you?
No, nope. Appreciate y'all having me for this anime discussion slash review. Look forward to many more in the future.
Mhm.
And yeah, if you like basketball, check out the GOATcast podcast.
Yep.
I'm a co-host along with CW over here. We talk basketball topics, mainly in the present, but we also touch on past topics as well as future prospects. So check us out. I'd appreciate
Yep.
it.
Yep. KDK, and if you want to
Yep.
talk about any of your channels, any of your content out there, please do.
Yeah, hopefully we can pick Anime Goatcast back up. Dan to Dan season 2. I think there's a lot of newer anime Chainsaw Man movies coming out, so there's a lot of stuff or content we can have. So hopefully it's making a comeback.
All right. Well, with that said, we are going to get off of here for tonight. Thank you guys, and we'll be back soon.